When Hans Zimmer first wrote the theme for Interstellar, he didn't know it would be about space. The initial pitch he received was just that it would be about family. I know it sounds very Fast and Furious, but that's what the movie's about, a family drifting apart. Interstellar is also a movie based on real scientific principles, namely time dilation and the actual mechanics of space travel. It's also one of my favorite movies of all time because it uses scientific principles to enhance the film's plot about a family drifting apart. After a 2-year journey to Saturn, the Endurance finally reached the wormhole to a distant galaxy. Upon entering said wormhole, the Endurance's crew travels to the first planet in the system, Miller's planet. 1 hour on Miller's planet is 7 years on Earth due to time dilation. This is an important concept to this analysis, so let's quickly go over how it works. Imagine this grid is space-time. Let's say the length of each square is 1 year, for example. You can only move through time in one direction, which we will represent by moving the ship up. You can move left or right, since that's space. Now, you can't see it on this scale, but space-time bends to gravity. However, if we add in a large planet, you can see how the square wants to stretch towards it. It's important to note, however, that something traveling in this square does not treat the square as stretched, so if you add in another ship outside of this square, you can see how the ship in the square is affected by the planet's gravity moves faster than the ship in the other square. On Miller's planet, you are that stretched square, so the whole universe looks to be speeding by. But from the perspective of the other square, you're moving really slowly. This is a very, very oversimplified explanation, but that's basically all you need to know to understand its relevance to the film. Cooper, Brand, Doyle, and Tars were the ones who went down to the planet's surface, where the effects of time dilation were the strongest. The more time they spent there, the more distance they would get from the Endurance. The short amount of time they spent on the planet was the equivalent to many birthdays and life events by Cooper's family that he missed in the name of scientific progress. The first planet acts as a turning point where the film properly shows the growing split between Cooper and his family. The score for this planet has a constant ticking sound, like a clock. Each tick represents a full day on Earth, a full day that his family grows up and evolves while he stays behind, trapped in time by the gravity of his situation. Unfortunately, Doyle dies due to Brand's insistence on scientific progress, while he instead puts her, or the family represented by her and the crew, first. Brand was lucky. She could have been killed due to her desires to not leave without the data. By comparison, Dr. Mann was similar in his goals. However, he represents the greed that can stem from a quest for progress. He lied about his planet so that he would survive, since he saw dying as failing the mission. However, he winds up dying when he attempts to take over the Endurance, disregarding the themes of family and sticking together while doing so. His death and involvement in the film is represented by the fire from the crash, there in a flash, but snuffed out by the empty vacuum of space in an instant. His death also sends the Endurance into a downward spiral, which Cooper must save, despite Tars, a computer being of pure logic, telling him that saving the Endurance is impossible. Cooper saves the ship anyway so that he can save his family. Fun fact about the Endurance, it's designed to look like a clock. It breaking in this scene not only sends it into a spin, it shows how the time Cooper once had with his family is broken. Unfortunately, while Cooper is able to save the Endurance, they begin getting pulled in by Gargantua. Gargantua is an incredible representation of a black hole. The artists behind the renders published some fascinating papers that helped our understanding of real-life black holes and what they could look like, something that got proven a few years ago with this photograph. If you have the time, I urge you to read the papers. They are truly one of the most interesting things I've ever read. If an object falls into a black hole, you cannot escape. Time and space switch roles, and the singularity becomes a point in its future instead of somewhere to travel to. To go back to the reference with the squares, the edges of these squares are like the center of the black hole. As you move through space in the square, it doesn't really matter where you go in space. your progression through time is leading you to the edge of that square, or the center of the black hole. Sometimes, familial or social roles are similar. It can be easy to just be what others want you to be and then get limited in what you accomplish. It's easy to fall into the singularity of social expectations. Perhaps that person is one of your friends or family members. Sometimes the best way to propel them forward is to just let them go. It may take a while for them to get where they need to be. In Cooper's case, that little maneuver cost him 51 years. But in the end, the important thing is that the people get to where they belong and do what they need to do in life. Interstellar is a film about family splitting apart. It also argues that maybe splitting apart is the best way to ensure the survival of a family. Cooper's family would have died to the blight if he didn't go on this journey, and they would have died if he didn't send himself into Gargantua. Same with Brand. She wouldn't have been able to set up the colony if Cooper hadn't left himself behind. And he only needed to do so to let her escape the pull of Gargantua. Interstellar shows these themes mainly through time dilation by having time serve as the main antagonist. Whether it's Cooper spending time with his daughter, Dr. Mann committing mutiny for his own survival, or you at home working on homework or hanging out with your family. The one thing that everything is and always has been about is time.